series of Instagram Lives here at Rutherford Ranch. I'm Neil Bason from the hospitality side of the company, and I'm really delighted that we could get some time out of our winemaker's busy schedule, and I'd like to introduce Jay Turnipseed, our winemaker.
Thanks, Neil.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we thought it was only appropriate that rather than sit in front of the desk as we've done before, that we join you in your own environment.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Jay, you've been with Rutherford Ranch for how long now?
So I was hired in early 2017, so this will be my third full year worth of employment with the company and fourth harvest, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah. And what attracted you to Rutherford Ranch?
Great question. So this company is family owned, and this company is owned by a farming family, which is really what attracted me to this business. Morgan, who is our boss, as you know, really is a farmer. I mean, he grew up with vineyards all around his house, working with the family business, and really that's what drove me to come to this business, is because we really are farmers first and then winemakers after that.
Yeah, and absolutely. One of the things we like to talk about is how we grow wine first and foremost. Here at this ranch, we have a fairly special vineyard actually on site, the Abella Vineyard.
So if you haven't been to the winery here in Rutherford, the Abella Vineyard is attached to the vineyard. It's just south of us, and it's really a special place to grow grapes. Here in Rutherford, we specialize in Cabernet Sauvignon, which is predominantly what's in the vineyard, with a little bit of Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Malbec, and we use those as blending tools.
Yeah, and in fact, last week we talked about Malbec with Dean out of our hospitality. He loves that wine. Loves that wine. Well, we're here today to talk about something slightly different. Okay. And actually introduce a wine to our audience that perhaps some will not know about, but we guarantee as we move forward you will be hearing a lot more about it. And this is Torcia. Torcia is a wine and a wine brand that allows us, well, really allows Jay and his team to just showcase what we can do as far as winemaking, and it's really taking you back to your roots, right? It's about that sense of place in the vineyard, and it's about hands-on winemaking here in the cellar, right?
Absolutely. You know, this brand is brand new for us. It's something that I'm very, very excited about, because this really allows us as the winemaking team to show the consumers why Napa is so special, and then within Napa Valley, the little sub-appellations that make up the valley, and how each one of those tastes differently. And so we really are showcasing the individual sub-appellations and how those wines show through to the customer in the bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll be seeing more about Torcia from us in the coming weeks. I look forward to speaking with Jay about the other Torcia wines that we have, which are, as Jay says, very site-specific Cabernet Sauvignon. We're going to start today with a Chardonnay, of all things. Some folks may have seen Torcia in our Chardonnay Shuffle that we offered on Tuesday. I hope you took the opportunity to enjoy those. If not, it's not too late. But we thought it would be a great thing for Jay to take us through a tasting of what Torcia is, or Torcia Chardonnay, and what really is special to you about this vineyard side of this wine.
Absolutely. So with Chardonnay, for those of you that are Chardonnay lovers like I am, Chardonnay is really one of those grape varieties that you really have to pay close attention to your site, and then the oak that you use for fermentation and aging, because Chardonnay by itself is rather ubiquitous. It doesn't have classic varietal characteristics that really scream its variety. So Sauvignon Blanc is a great example, where Sauvignon Blanc, depending upon how you make it, can either be grassy, like from New Zealand, or more mineral and grapefruit, like here in California with Sauvignon Blanc.
Right, delicious.
So with Chardonnay, it's really, really important to make sure you've got your vineyard site correct.
Right.
And then after that, barrel selection.
Yeah. So this particular vineyard it sits right at the very south end of Napa Valley. In fact, the Carneros region actually straddles both Sonoma and Napa. And it sits right on top of the bay, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So when the owners of this business purchased this property, they really spent a lot of time looking for the right vineyard. And this particular vineyard, I often tell people, if you find a good Major League Baseball field center fielder with a good arm, from the edge of the vineyard, they could probably hit the bay. Wow. We're that close.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's really, really a close proximity to the bay itself. But really, that bay is what really drives a lot of the temperature of the actual growing season down there in Carneros, which is where Chardonnay does best here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of that early morning fog, shorter growing cycle, shorter growing day, a little bit more aggressive, and then that fog comes back in again.
Yep. And so the daytime temperatures down there don't get nearly as warm as they do here in Rutherford, which is literally only 20 miles away.
Yeah, crazy. So we've picked the site, we've got the vineyards, we're happy with those wonderful microclimates, all those great things. Then you've got this great fruit, this fantastic fruit. What do you do with it when we bring it into the winery?
Great question. So this is the 2017 Torcia, which is really hand-selected portions from different blocks within our estate vineyard in Carneros. And so what we've done is harvested them selectively at different times based on what we feel is right for that particular block.
Interesting. Okay.
Bring them into the winery, gently press them using the whole cluster pressing method. Liberate the juice, and then put everything into barrel right away. So we have a little bit of settling happening in the barrel. Right. We also do native yeast fermentation on this.
Interesting.
So I'll explain that in just a second. But after that, the fermentations, take a little bit of time to get started.
Sure.
They'll ferment very slowly for up to 3 to 4 weeks with native yeast because they take a little bit more time to get started. And then we just put it down to rest for about 9 or 10 months. Yeah. And we do some bâtonnage or lees stirring.
I didn't know you spoke French.
I do, actually.
A little bit.
And so while it's in barrel, it just gets lees stirred. All that lees stirring creates this soft, creamy texture to the mid palate, which is what I love most about this one.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I think we shouldn't deny ourselves any further, and actually have a taste of this one. Yeah,
that's a sin.
Cheers.
So with this, we've selected some very gently toasted barrels, so it's not heavy toast, so it doesn't come across as too smoky or toasty. It's a little bit of sweet oak character, sort of vanilla, or even a little bit of caramel, which matches beautifully with some of the fruit characteristics that we get from our vineyard in Carneros.
Yeah, it smells complexity to me as well. Complexity and character, right?
Absolutely. So this wine, because it's grown in Carneros, the natural acidity is a little bit higher. Right. But it doesn't seem that way on the palate just because of all that lees stirring that we do. Yeah. It really is creamy and soft in the finish and in the back palate. Yeah. And it's purely a function of good barrel selection and lees stirring as well.
No, I love it. Now, you mentioned that we do a little bit of native fermentation with this wine. That is very appealing to I know a lot of our guests and customers. Give us your take on how you integrate that with winemaking.
Sure. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the process, a lot of winemakers will add a yeast that they know is a good solid fermenter, so it ferments into fermentation. And so it's a very efficient process. The yeast that they put in there is very, very good at doing its job. But it does one thing because it's only one type of yeast, and it does it start to finish. Right. With native yeast, it's a couple of different types of yeast that do different things at different times throughout the fermentation. And so when you have different different yeasts doing their thing at different times throughout a fermentation, then you end up with different layers of complexity. And we feel that's what adds sort of that depth of character, both aromatically and on the palate.
Yeah. And obviously that makes your job a little bit more difficult because you don't know what the characteristics of those yeasts are and how they're going to actually perform for you.
Oh, absolutely.
But like you say, I think that when you can include that native yeast component in winemaking, it brings a little bit of the vineyard, a little bit of the cellar, all into the glass and the bottle.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But you know, the thing is that native yeast are rather finicky.
Yeah.
So sometimes they don't like to get started right away. So if they don't like the temperature in here, the yeast that like the high sugar environment, the ones that sort of lead off the fermentation, may take a really long time to get started.
Sure.
Which opens the door for bad yeast that make stinky smells that none of us really want in our glass of Chardonnay. So we have to watch for those. We pay extra attention to the native yeast barrels to make sure that they're really doing their thing.
Yeah.
And that they do it all the way through to finish of fermentation, so there's no sugar left. And then we go through and we cherry pick the best barrels out of the best lots to make Torcia.
To make this fantastic. And as you say, this really is a Chardonnay, loveless Chardonnay. And thank you for your time today. Even in these difficult times, winemaking doesn't stop, farming doesn't stop either. So Jay is still working long hours to produce these wonderful wines that we then have the privilege to share with our guests. Jay, thank you very much. We'd like to wish a toast to all of our guests. If you like these series, please do subscribe. There should be a little button somewhere in your view. And also, if there are some questions that you'd like us to address and answer for you, perhaps next week, don't be shy. Let us know, and we'll do our best to do that for you. So, cheers, guys, and thank you so much for your patronage.
Cheers.